Hello friends, happy Janmashtami once again. I wanted to discuss about pursuits of happiness and the development of human society towards this end. Very ancient literature of the human civilization. As you know, the human civilization was taking shape during Neolithic period, after the Stone Age, some 5,000 years back, in the Great Plains of Central Asia and Eurasia. Great steppes, Asian steppes, from Siberia to Europe. When the agriculture started flourishing and the equipment, materials to do agriculture were invented, the bronze materials. That time there used to be two kind of people, societies, human societies developed. One, the nomadic people who were dependent on the pet animals for their survival. And these people were constantly nomadic people. They were moving from one place to other where the grass was greener on the other end, on the western end mostly, to graze their livestock, animals, and so cattle, people were moving along with them towards where the grass was greener on the other end or western end. These were the nomadic people, which evidence is seen in the Yamnaya culture and Kurgan culture in south of Siberia, Altai mountains. So you can read about Yamnaya culture and Kurgan culture. And then in later Bronze Age, or in the Bronze Age only, there was Andro Novo culture in the Bactria Margiana ancient complex. So this steppes nomadic people were divided in two categories. One was the nomads, other one was the agriculturalists. Small communities where the females were playing a vital role in the development of human society. The vital role is played by females, not males. Females were at the center of the home, or homemaker. They used to cook, feed, whatever required for cooking, they used to demand. For agricultural, also they were controlling everything. Males were just the servants or at the service of these females. They require anything, they will tell them, they have to bring or arrange those things. Like if they require a pot to store a food. The pot has to be, it is the duty of the man to make a pot or bring from somewhere. So, in the start of the civilization, human civilization, agriculture based, it was a matriarchal system, not the patriarchal. This is a very vital point to be we should bear in mind, that females are at the center because of their disposition, their empathy, their love, their care, like a mother, motherly care, you can say. Palna Poshan, Palan Poshan, everything. And Palan Poshan is not only required for the small child. Society need a nurturing. Any community, society also needs a nurturing. And that nurturing by nature is inbuilt in female's folk. So those times the females were not fighting among each other as started happening in the joint family system. And then the joint family system, two females cannot work together in a kitchen any longer. And we have seen the split of the joint family in 1980s, 70s, 80s. Then there was a time of nuclear family, and now even the husband and wife cannot live together any longer. Then in the Western countries primarily, which is also having the cascading effects in the developing countries, single parents. So I gave just an overview very briefly about how human society developed in the Neolithic period 5,000 years back, when we turned from nomadic lifestyle to agricultural based communities, because agriculture requires a lot of labor, right? It cannot be done by one person. Or so people started developing those civilizations, ancient civilizations, from Mesopotamia to Elamites to Babylon to Nineveh to Pharaoh in Egypt to Indus Valley civilization to Greek civilization. You see the fort, the concept of fort. And in the fort there are divisions, right? 4 divisions, 1 division, so for different, but ultimately people, large number of people were living together as a society, not as a home. Not home, society. In one home, you can call it ashram, not home, because there may be 25 people living together, 10 families may be living together and working together. In the kitchen, they will be cooking the food not for 2 people or 4 people or 10 people, but for the community. Community kitchen you can call it, or community living you can call it, which you can see is still in the indigenous population, natives of American, South American, North American. They live in the community, they cook, work, everything together, Community kitchen. In America also there is a community colleges. In India or in the developing countries, you can see the cooperatives. This is the same concept. Community cooperatives, because to achieve certain ends which one person, one family, few people cannot achieve. So this is not the family business. They were engaged. Agriculture was, and it is even now, agriculture is not a family business. You require several hands to sow the seeds, to harvest, to process the food, grain. It is a lot of labor, intensive, right? So it was not agriculture is not a family business. Agriculture became the family business only after the industrialization of agriculture. Agricultural industrialization took place and the monoculture developed in America in 1960s. And now you know that more than 50% of the land, agricultural land, is owned by single person, Bill Gates, in America, who want to do miles together, fields spread by miles together, and they are doing drone seeding and fertilizing, they are using drones and whatnot, all advanced technology. So this industrialization of agriculture is the new phenomenon. And in many farmlands in America and Canada, I have seen which one family is managing the big farms. Not with the indentured laborers. They are not keeping laborers, or slaves any longer. So we will come to it. So in the Neolithic period, when the production started increasing, agricultural production, they required, as society become prosperous, they start producing more than what they consume. First thing, they need a market, and there is a greed to earn more and become rich. That is the human tendency, right? Humans want to... What is the human tendency? Jealousy is a part of human tendency. It is not a good thing, but nobody can say... Means very few. How many people you know who are not jealous of anyone? Who don't want to become exclusive, who are not carrying any ego, who don't want to compete, or who don't want to have a power, or who are not greedy. So greed, jealousy, power, wealth accumulation, lethargy, associated things with the greed, lethargy. I don't have to do anything. I keep the people to serve me. Slavery. This was the natural outcome, right? Especially if people of one region are more prosperous than the other region, then there is a migration of people. The tussle to grab the land or resources, wars. So wars are inevitable in this tussle of the resources, as we have seen during Silk Road development in 100 BC. 100 BC, what happened? The global trade was developing, all the different ethnicity, races, people flocked into this region. Which region? Turkestan, Turk region, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, all this Stan region. It became so prosperous and it was at the center of the world. What was the center of the world? Sumeru Parvat, Meru, Pamir Mountains. Pamir Mountains, if you see the Vedic map, it was called at that time the center of the world. And east to west, from China to Istanbul to Greece, Rome and Greece, all this trade was taking place, the vast land, 9,000 kilometers from one end to other end. So people were moving 9,000 kilometers on the wild horses. And which was the center? From China, suppose Beijing to Greece, which was the center? Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Samarkand. At the delta of Pamir Mountains, where, though I already discussed, there were two most important rivers, Amu Darya or Oxus rivers and Helmand River or Saraswati or the West Saraswati. There was another Saraswati which was discovered much later, which dried up, people are saying, or which changes course, which has become Jamuna River. Some historians are saying there was a Saraswati river in the Indus Valley which dried up. Some people saying no, this river was constantly changing course, so it became Jamuna River, right? Or Ghagra, Jamuna River Valley. So, not going into those controversies, the topic is the development of human society in the pursuit of happiness of the humans. Material happiness. First, the basic needs should be fulfilled, right? That is the very basic thing. That is the basic level of happiness you should get. And what is the basic level of happiness which everybody should have? You should have clothes, food, home, some relationships, healthy relationship, some friend circle, right? And health. Health is derived from what you eat, water, what air you breathe. And how you fight with the natural forces of climate or natural forces like epidemics, pandemics, Mahamari. So, your ability to fight with that. So everybody, the basic of the happiness is safety and security. These two are the bottom line imperatives for the Shubh Kalyanam. Shubham Kalyanam. यही दो आशीर्वाद होते हैं. In ancient time, if you bow down to anyone, he will give only two boons. Shubham Karoti, Kalyanam Mastu. Kalyan ho. And what exactly it means? It means safety and security. Your life becomes safe and secured. Right? You don't, because people don't want unexpected things to happen. Tragedy. People going for movies, they are saying, life is nothing, no excitement without tragedy. But anybody is there, any human being, who want a life to be tragic? It is really pathetic. Some calamity, some great loss in the family, somebody dying young in a family. It is called Pitra Dosh, young person dying. What was the child, a small child, at the time of birth only they used to die. What is the mortality rates? Used to be of the females while giving birth, the females used to die, were dying in great numbers. The child survival rates were very low earlier times, right? So, what is the basic requirement of humans? To have a safe and secure life, roti, kapda, makan, and then everybody is unique. It is said that everybody comes to this. There is something called life purpose of life. Every individual comes with unique purpose. Right? Humans are not like animals. Like one sheep is same. The life of one sheep will be same as the other sheep. There will be no difference. You cannot differentiate between different two cows or two goats or two sheep. But so far, means you cannot even make out a difference in their looks. By looking at two ships, can you identify which one is which one? Can you give name and then identify with the name, this is this ship, this is this ship? Both will be looking same. It's very difficult. Maybe people who keep the pet animals, they may recognize by the look. I don't know, is it possible or not? But very difficult for sure. But human beings, every individual has different face. We name ourselves. Why we name ourselves? Because every individual have different purpose, characteristics, talents, ambition, purpose. Every individual is different than another. Human. It comes with a unique purpose in life. Right? So, society must provide opportunity for individual growth. Right? If society, there is a system or corrupt system or something which start favoring certain class of people based on their race, ethnicity, language, looks, color of skin, then that society is not a healthy society. And that is what we have seen in last 5,000 years in the evolution of human societies in the Neolithic period. Different races fighting with each other, different tribes, different ethnicities, different languages, different religion, and war became the continuous war between a prosperous, so-called prosperous society and other people who are not so prosperous. For whatever reason. Reason is simple, agricultural based society, the climate is conducive in certain region, climate is not conducive in another region, harsh climate conditions, so people cannot flourish. Then when the international trade started happening, mostly after the Silk Route development, or before that Spice Route through sea, India to Egypt, trade was taking place even before 5,000 years. Pharaoh time also, Punta region, Ethiopia, Sudan, this trade was taking place from South India, Kerala coast, Malabar coast, to Mahabalipuram coast, this Tamil Nadu coast. The sea trade or spice route was already developed with the Middle East to Israel or Egypt, Rome, and Africa. And there used to be pirates also who used to plunder, snatch away all the. So that is the spice route story, is one story developed. Then when the Silk Route developed, the Turkic people who fall in the middle of the Silk Route, they became very dominant, is snatching away, who affected the trade in negative way mostly, right? But then due to this global trade, there was amalgamation, different people coming together culturally, exchange of language, thoughts. So with the movement of people, the movement of thoughts taking place, not only movement of goods. And you know, one time from Lao Tse in China to Gautam Buddha, Mahavir Jaina, to Socrates, Aristotle, they were all having the same thoughts. Great philosophers from Egypt to China to India. That was the period 500, 600 BC. The great philosophy around humanity were taking shape by the great philosophers who were all together. There's no difference between what the Socrates told or Buddha told or Lao Tse told, same concept. You see the thoughts flowing from one end to other end. That was the peak of humanity, or thought of the very effulgent thought of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, everybody same, or humanity. The humanity took birth in 500 BC with the Lord Buddha, who gave the first time the concept of truth and non-violence centered around karuna or compassion. The word compassion, non-violence, truth, to end the misery of life, dukkha. This was the pursuit of knowledge by which to end the suffering, so that life become joyful, happy, people don't fight with each other, they start sharing and living together in the form of vihara. In the global scale, so these viharas, the Buddhist concept was spread. In the time of Buddha, it was not spread so far, very far off. But by in another 200 years or so, by the time of Ashoka the Great, and why great? Because he spread this humanity dharma, or universal dharma, you can say. What is the universal dharma? Which is based on human values of truth, non-violence and compassion, which pursuits of which is to end the suffering of human beings so that people can live together without fighting with each other. Ahimsa, non-violence. How is it possible? It is not possible, as I already explained. When one region is prosperous, the other region is catastrophic or harsh environment. When there is a scarcity, when there is insecurity, then there cannot be happiness. There has to be fight. So as the society further progressed, our capability to fight with the natural forces increased. We started erecting the houses with the bricks which were seasoned. Seasoned means heated, not just the clay, plastering of clay and all. In the Indus Valley, we have seen the civilization which can bear the effect of great floods, survive the great floods, because these bricks were very heated and molded in the intricate shapes. So that is the formation of civilization. Civilization means the ability to fight with the natural forces, ability to fight with the scarcity, ability of humans to prosper together, to live together, right? Share together, have cooperative style of living, community developments. So pursuit of happiness or end of suffering is possible when we adopt these universal principles of truth and non-violence, which was first proposed by Gautam Buddha. Not in Rig Veda or Phalana Veda or Dimaka Veda. There are few verses are there regarding Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and Sahana Bhavatu, Sahano Bhunaktu, Samavir Viryam Karvavahe. राइट, हम साथ साथ चलें, साथ साथ उठें बैठें, साथ एक ही तरह से सोचें विचारें, राइट. बट दीज Vedic concepts are old, or Buddha concept was old. I doubt these Vedic concepts are older than Buddha concept. Or even if it was older, it was never adopted. What was in practice was totally different than what was this sutra was saying. So Veda and Upanishad, they are very effulgent. They are also universal. They are also talking, and not only Buddha, But we don't know the authorship and the period of this. We speculate that these thoughts were there before Buddha. But you know, the before Buddha, the Vedic period declined by 800 BC when the Mahabharata took place between all the different tribes of the world. In this Turkic region, all the different tribes, they were fighting with each other, which continued till Shaka, Scythians, Parthians, Kushans, Yunanis, Greeks. They were all fighting with each other. So, coming back to the topic, human civilization, how it flourished in last 5,000 years, how much we have achieved, the harmony between ourselves, how much capability we have developed to fight the natural forces. Are we able to end the diseases or suffering due to Daivik, Adi Bhautik? Adi Bhautik means earthly related causes. Adi Daivik means climatic related causes of suffering. And Adhyatmic, psychological. There are three kinds of suffering, as we know. Psychological suffering, due to loneliness, due to break in relationships, due to Atma Kuntha, or due to personal ailments, poor health. So this is one kind of physical level of suffering, then mental level of suffering. But then there are suffering which are beyond we cannot do anything. We cannot control those things. Like a flooding, earthquake, volcanoes. These are Adi Daivik Apada. Apada means crisis. And then there is a pandemic, Mahamari, right? So, Adhyatmic, Adi Daivik, Adi Bhautik. All the three levels of suffering is there. How much in the modern society we are able to overcome these sufferings? And are we happy now than before or not? Because if that is the only parameter, real parameter of evolution of human society or progress, if we are doing material progress, why? Because of the increased comforts, we are living in AC all the time, controlled environment. We have all the items of luxury, cold water, hot water available 24/7, all kind of clothing, hot, cold, every kind of clothing, everything, very good mattresses to sleep on, very good footwear, तरह तरह के चप्पल, जूते, right? All kind of gadgets, everything is available. So our physical level of suffering has decreased. There is no second thought about it due to material progress. And we have devised newer sports and thrill and entertainment, means of entertainment, exciting things we have discovered, right? from Universal Studio to Disneyland and whatnot. All kind of virtual reality, video games, gadgets, music gadgets, studios, amphitheaters, opera houses, right? The way we can create music, theater, amphitheater, from Greek Roman times to now. So there is a much material progress, and there are many pursuits or means of entertainment, travel, comfort, luxury. But this is only first level, physical level. What about our psychological level? Psychological, we are in the crisis, unprecedented crisis, which was never seen since the dawn of civilization. Since the Neolithic period, in last 5,000 years, this kind of psychological suffering was never seen. Even during the time of great wars. What happened? Temurlang came, in few weeks he killed thousands of people, even lakhs of people. Right? Only few days. This is suffering of only few days. Right? It is not continuous suffering, as you are thinking that, oh, what was the terrible time they were living. No, they were living in not as terrible time as today. Why? Because there was no psychological trauma used to be there. I'm not talking about trauma here. If somebody's house is burned, flooding, Sukha, Mahamari, some young fellow died, somebody got killed. So those kind of trauma is there. Traumatic experience was there. Torture was there, which was unimaginable kind of torture. सूली पे चढ़ा दिए जाते थे. Rights को सूली पे चढ़ा दिया गया था. सोचिए what kind of torture it is. And हमारे सिख गुरुओं के संग they have gone to such a torture ways, means which are we cannot imagine. So those people have gone through the traumatic experiences, but people, common people, psychologically were not suffering that much as they are suffering today. Means almost 99.99% I'm talking, means almost all people. There is no individual which does not carry at least 2 to 3 mental disorders. If you see the DSM-5 manual, where more than 200 mental disorders are listed. So out of 200, if you start analyzing yourself, you will easily discover 2 or 3 mental disorders in yourself. Anxiety to depression to suicidal tendency, depending upon age, circumstances. In Canada, people, the best living places in Canada, like you see on internet, the old people opting for suicide. They write the suicide note and they submit request to grant them permission to end their lives. And if somebody crying too much, then the public starts suggesting them, why don't you apply for mercy petition to end your life? Submit your mercy petition to end your life. The son's telling to his mother, the children telling to father, what? Why are you living if you are so much depressed? If you don't want to live, if your life is miserable, better end it. So what is the solution today? What the solution of end of suffering proposed by Buddha, Socrates, Lao Tse? And what is the solution proposed today? Even psychiatrists and doctors proposing this. They are committing suicide. The psychiatrists committing suicide, the doctors committing suicide. The philosophers committing suicide. There is nobody means left. Rich people, super rich people, the mental crisis, the suffering is tremendous, not at physical level, but at psychological level. Not even due to climatic apocalypse will come, few people flooding, tsunami, many people, lives gone. Gone. People who suffered in the short period. COVID, so many people gone. Gone is gone. People forget. Do you still remember whom you lost in COVID? Within short period, people forget. Unless they are in trauma. If people have gone through traumatic experience, I'm not talking about them. Their life is miserable because their life is traumatic, become traumatic. And psychology may have some treatment for the people under trauma, but those are not available in India mostly. In Western part, if people, they can, there is a therapy, psychiatrist. If you they identify you have gone through some traumatic experience in life, they can identify and give you some relief with those treatments. So I'm not talking about extreme cases. I'm talking about people in general who are going through anxiety, depression, loneliness, or they are suffering because of lack of opportunity. So many people suffering. They are jobless, unemployed. So what is the purpose of their lives? They could not figure it out why they are living. Because everybody wants to excel in life, to achieve certain excellence, to have some self-worth, feeling of self-worth. In absence of these things, the life becomes miserable at the psychological level. So I just wanted to discuss the pursuit of happiness, Satchidanand. How far we have come since the Neolithic period in the last 5,000 years. Were people more happy? And forget about the 5,000 years. Think about if you, I am more than 50, cross 50. So life in my childhood was more happy or now? Definitely I am living in much more physical comfort, which was unimaginable in those times. When we were struggling, there was no light at all. In the small towns, in the big cities also. So there was totally blackout sometime, many times witnessed. No TV or no entertainment means, no mobile, nothing. But at psychological level, people were very, very happy than they are today. This is the mental pandemic we are going through. People are suffering a great deal at the psychological level. And the cause of suffering is very apparent. The fast lifestyle, the fight we are having, people are not having the jobs, jealousy, anger, uncertainty, insecurity, there is no safety, no security. So those basic parameters for the happiness are not. They are suffering at a very deep level. This is a crisis at very deep level. We have to revise our full concepts of the social development. We have to go back to those philosophers who gave us thinking to end the suffering, from Lord Buddha to Lao Tse, Socrates. See how we struggled, how far we have come, how we fought with each other for resources to grab the land, how the slavery, the Slavs people, who spread in the Eastern Europe, they are fighting today. All those Slavs and Bulgars who are spread from Ukraine to all of Eastern Europe, Slovakia, Bosnia-Herzegovina, it all started from Bosnia-Herzegovina. CIA, they started this crisis in Europe, the seed was developed first by Hitler, by dividing people, those who agriculturalists and industrialists. These agriculturalists were the Slavs people. Their fight was not against Jews or anybody, or the fight was always between these two classes, agriculturalists and so-called industrialists. We have to discover our roots in the agriculture, and imperative for that is the cooperatives, community living concepts. This is the key to our survival of human race. This peasant movement will take place in developing countries, and we will go back to the same roots of community living, sharing. The currencies will fail, the wars will ensue, the pandemic will come, many people will go through traumatic experience. God save them. If I happen to go through trauma, means very easy to go in trauma. Anybody can be a victim. And for the traumatic person, there is no God will come, or his life is over, unless he receives some kind of psychiatrist treatment somehow. But apart from trauma, people suffering from trauma, but people suffering from such suffering psychologically due to lack of opportunities or lack of care, due to insecurity, relationships. So those kind of suffering can be ended once we start cooperating with each other, when we start adopting truth and non-violence as our basic values. The key to happiness is in the concepts given by Lord Buddha, whose pursuit or whose knowledge, who was the enlightened person who could see through the cause of suffering. Cause of suffering is our animalistic attitudes, jealousy, envious, power hungry, greed. And unless we overcome our animalistic nature, we start sacrificing, we start sharing, there is no end to the suffering. Thank you so much.